So for our reading today, I chose a poem by an Irish poet because our speaker is Irish, and I definitely wanted to honor her heritage because I know it's important to her. So this is a poem. It's called The Rite of Baptism by Padraig O'Tuoma. If you pass, know that you will have no say about what happens. Some of our people will hate you as they hate themselves. You must create a life without giving them all your life's attention. Some people will delight in destroying you. Some will strike you. Some will choose others as their favorites. Some have been waiting for you for generations, circling like hunters round your little heart. Of course, they don't know you. The truth will set you free, eventually, but only after you've forgotten this. You haven't learned to fly yet, have you? Somebody will love you. Somebody will hurt you too, but you know that already. We offer you little in the way of certainty, just that the country you live in will not always be that country. There is a lot you'll need to suffer. Remember, help is a howl and an imperative, nothing to be ashamed of. One way or another, shame can teach you what nothing else can teach you, one way or another. Your body isn't an event, and you'll spend decades unpacking what's happened. Here are some things we cannot guarantee you: guarantees or history's purity. Here is what we can: a platform on which your past can make or break, depending on how power is conceived. There is no such thing as the past, just stories of the past poorly reenacted. And nobody knows where the past begins. In the beginning, it was all a dream, not a story. Remember, you must believe some of this. Now is the time in our service where we take an offering. We know it is the gifts of all of us that help support our ability to thrive and gather. For those attending in person, we will pass the collection plate. Please use the envelope you'll find in the pew, write your names, and indicate if your offering is part of your pledge or is a donation. For those online, links and instructions will be posted in the chat. You can mail us a check or donate through the PayPal giving page on our website. Please give as generously as you can. Our offerings will be greatly received.
Kept on burning, a miracle they say, but the world has kept on turning. Are there miracles today? Everyone who lights the candles has a bit of ancient spark. We are miracles lighting up the dark. We are lights, lights of memory, remembering times long gone. We are glowing, growing miracles. We are lights, we are lights, we are lights. Light upon your face, linking you and me blazing of the candles is not the only light. Look at all of us shining here tonight. We are lights, lights of memory, remembering times long gone. We are glowing, growing miracles. We are lights, we are lights, we are lights, shining on. We are lights, shining on. We are lights, shining on and on.
Please join us in singing hymn 1027, Cuando el Pobre, we'll sing it in English, in your teal hymnal.
We will sing all 4 verses. So look on the following page are the words.
When the poor ones who have nothing still are giving, when the thirsty pass the cup, water to share, when the wounded offer others strength and healing, we see God here by our side, walking our way. We see God here by our side, walking our way. When compassion gives the suffering consolation, when expecting brings to birth the hope that was lost, when we choose love, not hatred, all around us, we see God here by our side, walking our way. We see God here by our side, walking our way. When our spirits, like a chalice, brim with gladness, when our voices, full and clear, sing out the truth, when our longings, free from envy, seek the humble, we see God here by our side, walking our way. We see God here by our side, walking our way. When the goodness poured from heaven fills our dwelling, when the nations work to change war into peace, when the stranger is accepted as our neighbor, we see God here by our side, walking our way. We see God here by our side, walking our way.
Thank you, everyone. That was really beautiful. I'm just going to riff a second on, because I haven't written this down, but I've said this to some people we've been protesting with or calling with or whatever. I think the most critical thing in this moment is the physical violence that is being visited upon the immigrant community, because it is lawless, it's without due process, it's very Gestapo-like, and if any one of us interfere in this violence, then we can be charged with a crime. And I think this is the most dangerous aspect of the current regime among all the dangers that they're, pushing towards the brink of war, taking away people's food and health care. To me, this is because it's the most immediate, disruptive and destructive of people's lives. 4 people died in ICE custody this week. And so they bring the official number to 30, but we suspect it's more than that. And so my feeling is that any racial or other type of bigotry or animus against an identifiable group has only one endpoint, and that is genocide. It can be a slow genocide of denied rights and denied privileges, dirty air, food, and water, or it can be very swift, which is what is happening now. So when we respond to this moment, I want people to bear that in mind, and we really do need heroes in this moment. So I'm very happy about our speaker today. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Priscilla Marco, Esquire, has been an attorney since 1982. She's mostly focused on criminal and family law during her years of practice in Manhattan and the Bronx, doing bail applications, grand jury presentations, and trials. In 1996, she went to work for the Public Employees Federation as a labor field representative, handling labor arbitrations, workplace grievances, and labor management meetings for 24 years. After retirement, Priscilla went to work for the Forest Avenue Business Improvement District, handling problems for small businesses for 3 years. She left there to join the staff of Trinity Lutheran Church as their community engagement coordinator, and as of May 2025, became the legal counsel for the newly formed Trinity Immigration and Citizenship team. In that capacity, she has represented juveniles in family court in Staten Island who are seeking Special Immigrant Juvenile Status, and has started preparing to do asylum application hearings. She recently visited Delaney Hall Detention Center in Newark to interview Sara Gomez for her successful Habeas Corpus petition. Priscilla is the daughter of an Irish immigrant to the US and feels very strongly that immigrants should be entitled to due process in immigration proceedings. I give you Priscilla Marco.
Good afternoon, everyone. So just a little bit about my mother, who was born Elizabeth Caffrey in County Kildare, Ireland. My mother's story is very typical of most immigrants up to recent times. She was sponsored by her aunt to come here at the age of 17, 18 years old. Because times in Ireland at that time in the 50s were tough. She came in search of better economic opportunity, and she was the oldest child in her family and the only one from her generation to immigrate here. As the result of, she came here and she gave birth to me. She wasn't a US citizen when she gave birth to me. And one of the things I started thinking about when all of this stuff started was our president wants to do away with birthright citizenship. I'm one of those people who was born to a woman who was not a US citizen when she gave birth to me. I feel like he is trying to make illegal what has been the norm here for how people become an American citizen. So I grew up, as I remember when my mother studied for the citizenship test and how proud she was the day that she became an American citizen. I went to law school because I always was attracted to social justice issues, and I became a criminal and family court attorney. And I represented many indigent people at that time. But I never, ever did immigration law. It's just not in my area of practice. So as Juliet said, that's my bio. You know, it's been social justice causes, criminal family law, and labor law. And then, you know, I retired, and then I got this part-time job. And I had always kept my law license active. So that gave me the opportunity when this started, and Pastor Stephanie from Trinity Lutheran wanted to do an immigration clinic here on Staten Island, because one thing we quickly realized is that while there are organizations that serve the immigrant community, organizations such as La Comena, El Centro, Catholic Charities does a lot of work, there is very few people who are willing to go to court. In fact, none of those organizations have attorneys on staff. You know, they have to refer it to either somebody they're associated with, and most of the time they do not take cases that have to go to court. And nobody was doing the juvenile cases. I quickly realized that with my family law background, that would be a great area to try to help people. And even though this administration has tried to limit the benefits of SIJS, because it's a pathway to getting a green card for young people, and it's supposed to protect them, right now, nobody has protection if they are not a U.S. citizen, period. You know, they will, if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, such as Sara Gomez was just working her job that she got for 1 week before, that she took to help her family after graduating from Port Richmond High School, she was taken. She came here because her mother brought her here. She didn't get a say about coming to this country. And so for the crime of coming as a minor, she was detained for 35 days. I was very honored to have met her. I was the first person who actually got to speak to her in detention. And I did that because there was nobody available to speak to her to get essential information for a habeas petition. Habeas petition is Latin for find the body. So you file the habeas petition because you want to convince the court, immigration court, that this person should be released, and it's strictly on the issue of the person's release. So you know, there was a team of lawyers that worked on this, something I've never done before. And doing this, this journey has been about taking chances and risks. And why did I do that? Because I wanted to be able to do something. And, you know, just sitting here as the daughter of an immigrant was not acceptable to me. And this has been something, I can't help every single person, but I can do what I can do. And because I have a law license, I can do things that most people can't. I can go into the detention center and get treated a little bit more respectfully than the family members who come to visit their relatives. Just a little bit about our immigration clinic. I printed out, I can't share details of the cases that we take except for Sara, who's become part of the public domain. But we've had clients from Ecuador, Egypt, Mexico, a lot from Mexico, Malaysia, Liberia, Honduras, Venezuela, Haiti, Peru, Jamaica, Trinidad, Guatemala, Indonesia, Colombia, Bahamas, and South Africa. And a few people came from off island to see us, but the vast majority were from Staten Island. And if you asked anybody, I mean, most people know that there's a large Liberian population, Most people expect to hear that there's a large Mexican population. Nobody would think that there's this much diversity in the immigrant population here on Staten Island. So these people are hidden. And so we have developed this clinic. The model is, I am the lawyer. I have to review everything that's done. If there's a requirement to go into court, I'm the person who goes into court. So for the SIJS cases, which is Special Immigrant Juvenile Status, I prepared all of the paperwork for going into family court. And because there's a lot of documents that the court wants to scrutinize why you are applying, you have to label somebody as the guardian. So frequently it is the mother who is asking to be the guardian of her own child, which sounds kind of strange, but that is the process. So we filed this petition. They have to investigate the family. They get fingerprinted. But if you're willing to jump through all of these hoops, then you get what's called a special order, and you can file that to immigration court. So that has been, we are about to get immigration, to get special orders for filing to immigration court on behalf of 3 clients from juvenile cases. We have been open since May of 2025. We have seen over 40 individuals in initial consultations. We have over 10 open cases. The asylum cases take a long time to process. I have not been able to take cases where the person has an individual hearing. There's 2 parts. There's a master hearing, which is just an initial appearance where you set a date for the hearing, and then the individual hearing. And in order to be successful in an asylum petition, you have to file a written declaration for the immigrant where it's a personal story that they're telling about why they have a fear of returning to their home country. And you also have to have them testify. And frequently you're trying to do this with an interpreter. They've been through trauma. It's not easy to get this, get the facts that you need to be successful. And then, you may need to get expert witnesses on country conditions, having a psychosocial evaluation of the person who's been through trauma. So that's the reason why it takes years, and then plus the delay in the courts. Some of the interesting things that are happening in the courts now is they're having military judges who are being ordered to go into these courts and act as judges. And that's because the president is sure that they will follow orders and they will up the rates of deportation. If judges don't have the right statistics, they get fired. Recently, we had one case with a judge that we researched on her LinkedIn profile, and she said she was employed by ICE. I can't even understand how that is okay to say that your employer is ICE. They've been advertising for judges as deportation judges. So due process is out the window. They want to make this process as scary as possible so people will self-deport. And self-deportation is becoming the lesser evil as time is going on. But the hopeful situation is that cases are still being handled. We are still helping people, and we're doing adjustment of status for people. We're doing their asylum cases. Thank you. Sorry, seem to be getting a cold. And we are doing all kinds of cases, anything that comes in the door that we feel we're able to handle. And we want to thank the Unitarian Church for the support that you've shown us. Some of you have volunteered initially to help set up our clinic. Some of you have done data entry for us, and I'm looking at you, Ben. Thank you so much for that. And some of you are considering becoming caseworkers. How we got the caseworkers who are volunteers is that they take the 40-hour course. There are two organizations that offer that. The a Catholic organization called Clinic, and then there's the New York Immigration Coalition, which also offers it. So when we know that there's a 40-hour course available, if people are interested in that opportunity, please speak to me, because the more caseworkers we have, the more cases we're able to take. In the coming year, it's really hard to say whether the practice is going to stay what it's been, with people coming in with their routine issues, or more focused on people who are in detention and having to file habeas petitions. Thanks to La Camena and other citywide organizations, they did a training for lawyers on how to do habeas petitions, because they realized that this is not something that most attorneys have done. I am able to appear in federal court. Another problem we've noticed is that if somebody is from New Jersey, I'm not admitted in New Jersey. I can represent people in New York. I'm also not admitted in the northernmost court districts. So I'm admitted in the New York City, Southern and Eastern District federal courts. And so we have to have a network of people. Let's say somebody is detained here in New York City. They could be transferred to Buffalo. Sara was transferred from New Jersey at Delaney Hall to Texas, to Ohio, to Michigan. And before we were able to get her returned to New Jersey. And we were able to do that only because we had filed the habeas petition timely, but the private contracting company that runs the detention facility didn't get the notice in time, and they just shipped her out because that's what they do. I read today that there was a person who was detained at Delaney Hall who died, possibly of a heart attack, but you can't tell me that that wasn't brought on by the stress that they were put through to be arrested. So our clinic was started because of a generous donation by the Lutheran Synod that helped us start, plus people's private contributions. We still need to raise funds for this because just because it's my law license, I am paid staff of this, but also there's all kinds of expenses. Like we're considering things like the fees to appeal. We found out to just appeal a negative decision from asylum case cost $1,100. What this administration did was, in the big beautiful bill, they tacked 2 zeros on to what had used to cost $110. So to file a motion to reopen a case, which we had, that would be going before the immigration court, for some reason costs more because it was $145. So I guess they upped that to $1,450. We had a client who became a US citizen. She wants to sponsor her husband. The fees for that has gone up to $3,000. So any immigration case now has fees that are tacked onto it, and we have to advise the client, this is what the fee is. We're not able to pay the fees for every client that we have. So we need to set up community funds for some of this, and we're not going to be able to help every single person. So choices have to be made on how we do this work. This is a community effort to represent these individuals. We've seen people with children come in. It's like, it's been so interesting to watch a child, while you're talking about these very serious life and death issues, and they're playing. And we had to get something to distract them so that when we're talking to mom and dad about the possibility of deportation, that they don't have to listen to that. So there's so many different needs that we can't even project what all of the needs will be. But we are expecting to be very busy in the coming year. Our clinic is located at 309 St. Paul's Avenue. The entrance to the clinic is 175 Beach Street, which is around the corner. And we have signs on our doors to try to say that this is private space, and certainly our office is behind a door and is private space to try to protect the people who come here. At Trinity, we also have a soup kitchen and food pantry, and every Saturday there are people line up. They line up at all hours of the morning because this is the habit that they've been in, and they're outside on the street. And I just hope and pray that ICE isn't going to decide, okay, let me check out what's happening at Trinity's soup kitchen. Oh, they're outside. We can arrest them. So I'm hoping to find more lawyers who are interested in doing this, to work with us, to represent people. But there is certainly a dearth of lawyers who do immigration law on Staten Island. Most people have to go to either Jersey or Manhattan or Brooklyn to find an immigration lawyer. And if they have to go to pay a private lawyer, it's costing thousands of dollars. And then because everybody is so busy, the prices have gone skyrocketing. So we have not charged a fee to anyone so far who has come before us. The only thing we've asked is that if there's a filing fee, that the client pay that. So anything that you can give to Trinity to keep this mission going would be greatly appreciated. I want to throw the floor open to questions. If people have questions that they want to ask that are general, if you want to discuss a particular situation, I'm going to stay for the coffee hour and I will speak to you privately one-on-one. But again, I really thank you so much from the bottom of my heart and the people from the Trinity Immigration and Citizenship team for all the support that you've showed. Thank you so much.
Are there any questions for Priscilla?
Yes, Sally.
Priscilla, Sally, you know me for a long
Yes.
time. I've known you for a long time. It's just amazing what you've stepped up to do. I'm just so grateful. And I hope we can get other lawyers inspired to help you. If anybody knows a lawyer, that they should get in touch with you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's being semi-retired has made this possible. If I were still working for the union, I don't think I could have done this. But so we have to find the lawyer who either doesn't have a very active practice or is thinking about retiring and still keeps their license active. Right. And that's the miracle of this, was that I kept paying every 3 years. You have to do your continuing legal education and pay a fee to keep your law license active. And I did that for years after I stopped taking cases. And this must have been the reason why. Pastor says, this is God in action. And some people don't believe in that, but it's hard to say what got me to keep that going when I wasn't practicing law and to be able to do this now.
Yeah, this was meant to be. I want to just ask you, if people want to donate, can you just, how do you go about it? Do you make it out, a check or something out to Trinity?
A check
Lutheran
to Trinity
Church?
Lutheran Church, you could put in the notation that it's for TICT, T-I-C-T. Then we will credit it to the right account. We had to open up our own bank account for the immigration clinic so that funds can be properly applied. There's probably a way to donate electronically. I'd have to get back to you on that. And again, when we first started and Pastor Stephanie came around, I know that people here gave generously. But we're asking again because the work doesn't stop. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Can you explain a little bit more about how judges are chosen and assigned to these cases? Are they federal? I know nothing about.
what used to be and what is happening now are two different things. There have been judges that have been fired because they're looking at their rate of granting asylum. And so they just look at that. A judge that was going to appear in front of had a 60-40 rate against the applicant. That's the kind of statistics that they're looking for. Because they're ramping up the detaining of people, they've had to add more judges, and that's where they went to the military judges, who have no background in immigration law. That didn't matter to them. They're willing to take them because they'll follow orders. So, in fact, I heard about an a military judge who was fired from doing the immigration work because he didn't follow the orders and he actually followed his conscience. So this is a very serious problem of who is listening to these cases. But right now it's also trying to prepare them properly so that you can appeal it. So the steps are, you file an asylum petition. It's then heard by an immigration judge. You have a right to appeal the results of the hearing to something that's called the Bureau of Immigration Appeals. If you still disagree with the Bureau of Immigration Appeals, you have the right to go to federal court. And that's where the battle is going to be, because you can't trust the immigration judges and you can't trust the Bureau of Immigration Appeals. You're going to have to trust the federal courts, because that's been the only part of our system that has been working properly, except for the Supreme Court, but we won't get into that.
That's next time.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Mary, hi. Mary Hernandez.
Hi, Priscilla.
Hi.
So there was an article earlier this week in the New York Times about how the Trump administration is now targeting the juvenile immigration program. I'm wondering if you're seeing the effects of that in the people you're working with in terms of juvenile special status.
Well, what they did was they tried to eliminate the work permits being eligible. So when you file an asylum petition, you are automatically eligible to get a work permit, which is another reason why people file asylum petitions. So that enables them to stay. There was a recent court case against Kristi Noem where a federal judge reversed the administration's attempt to eliminate work authorizations for people who get SIJS status. And to get SIJS status is the first part, you go to family court, and then you have to be granted the petition from immigration. So again, it's a process that takes years. And then you're in that waiting period to get a visa. So many of our clients come from Mexico. The waiting period to get a green card, if you're a Mexican citizen, is years and years. So it really depends on what country you come from. And then we have the situation where they've labeled 19 countries that they are going to try to cut off immigration from. The impact of that hasn't been fully felt yet, but we're talking about countries like Haiti, Venezuela, most of Africa. It's horrendous what they're doing, how they're trying to discriminate against people. And he says things like, why aren't more people coming here from Norway? People come from these countries because of economic deprivation. That's the way it's always been. And you know what? And they do assimilate. But now you're trying to make it so that, you can't register people to vote at citizenship swearing-ins, which they used to do all the time. So we really, I was saying we have the one client that I hope we will get her registered to vote. But that's a problem. We need maybe people to stand outside the swearing in ceremonies with voter registration cards and get them registered, because it's an attempt to try to make people not participate and not have their voices not heard. Yes, ma'am. Sure. I'm sorry. Chelsea, you go first, and then,
Hello.
hi. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you. Thank you so much for coming today.
No problem.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the 40 hours for people wanting to do caseworker stuff, like if you need prior legal experience.
No. The answer to that is no. And again, we've done this by trial and error. So we have, let's see, David, I'm just trying, I think 6 caseworkers and myself currently. We have 3 people who are bilingual, and obviously getting somebody who is bilingual is even better, because when you have a client who doesn't speak English, then you have to make an arrangement to get an interpreter. But I'm not picky. I mean, I would like to get as many people who bring something to the table as possible. We're hoping to do a session as an introduction to becoming a caseworker. We have to wait until the course becomes available. Okay. So it would be a 2-step process. You come to, if you're interested in that, make sure I get your email address so that I can invite you to the orientation meeting, and then let you know when the 40-hour course becomes available. And I will say this, it's on Zoom. So even if you're working, you can listen to the recording. For me, I had to listen to the live recording in order to get continuing legal education credits. But if you're not a lawyer, you don't have to do that. You'll get the certificate. And then at the end of the 40-hour course, and it covers everything related to immigration, you're getting a kind of an overview. After that, you take an open book exam, which is based on the materials, and everybody passes it. That's so. Then once you do that, if you are willing to commit to being part of our team, we have case management meetings every 2 weeks, and we've found that has been absolutely critical to the success of our clinic, because people, even if you're not presenting a case, you're hearing about someone else's presentation of a case, and you're doing continuing legal education and training. But because you're not lawyers, I, as the lawyer, have to oversee everything that you do. No papers can get filed without me having to look at them first. And we have any papers that are filed, we're trying to do it through our case management system so that we have some kind of protection from the government looking at our clients' personal information. So we're trying to, as much as possible, eliminate papers. But initially, when the person comes in, we have to make sure we ask for their travel documents. So we got to make a copy of their birth certificate. We got to get a copy of their passport if they have one, and work permit if they have one, any documents. And certainly, if they're asylum case and they're with a court date and have a removal case, then we need to have copies of those documents. But doing this work makes you feel like you're doing something to fight back against this administration. And it's one by one, but you're having a big impact on somebody's life. And sometimes we can't help the person, but we can give them information so that they can make a choice. The choice whether to go to court or not has to be the client's choice. I have to make sure that when they're advised that nobody is saying you have to do this or you have to do that. It's the client's choice.
Thank you.
I was going to ask the same question, so
yes.
You answered it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi. I was interested in Sara Gomez's case. You talked about the juvenile cases, et cetera. What was her status at the time that she was taken? And did that have any effect on, what happened next or what didn't happen next?
Okay. So the only reason I can talk about Sara's case is because it worked its way into the media. So I'm not saying anything that's a secret. She had come here with her family, All right, so her mother filed an asylum petition on which she was something called a derivative, which means that the mother filed and she named her children that she brought with her. So Sara had a valid work permit at the time that she was detained. She attempted to show it to ICE. They didn't care. She had been there for 1 week when she was detained. And if she had not been at her job that day, she wouldn't have been detained. So there's different types of being detained. There's a workplace detention, and then there's the people on the streets. And so we don't know what's coming next in New York City. We have concerns about the schools. Are they going to be trying to get the parents as they're dropping their kids off from schools? What's going to happen to the kids if the parents is afraid to take them to school and the kid can't get there by themselves? Are they going to be not being educated? You know, there's so many issues. But Sara had the ideal case for doing a habeas petition because she had no contacts with the criminal justice system. She wasn't here on an expired student visa. She was following the process as we have known it to this point. The problem is this administration is trying to change the process and make it illegal for everyone except for whites from South Africa, people from Norway. I don't even know what he wants to see here, or if he doesn't want any immigrants at all and he just wants to slam the door. And never mind that his wife was processed as an immigrant through the same process I described for my mother. Somebody sponsored her. Somebody sponsored her parents. She paid money to get that done. Yes.
I guess this is kind of, right now, when someone brings a case to the immigration courts, if they are, following directives from the administration, the recourse is to go to federal court. But as the midterms come near and as the administration gets more desperate, what happens when they decide we're just going to ignore the federal court?
Well, they've been ignoring the federal court in many areas. It's just, really, it's up to all of us to say that that's not right. That we just have to keep insisting, and people have to vote. And no matter how many obstacles that are put in our way of voting, we have to show up for that election. It's clear that that is one of the most important things that everyone who is registered to vote can do.
Just on a personal note, I talked about this last week. This was one of my sorrows is my mom has a new caregiver, and she's from Burkina Faso. And she's married with 3 children, 10, 7, and 2. And some of her friends, husband's friends, were taken by ICE. Wow. And he became really concerned and frightened for himself, didn't want to be separated from the children. So he returned to Burkina Faso without her. Burkina Faso is an extremely poor country. People often subsist on 1 meal a day. So they have lots of food insecurity due to climate change. So she's staying here without her children because her work papers are still valid. And so she can help support the family. And so she's separated from her children, and she's working on her own. She's here all by herself, and all her family is back there. And she says, whether or not I stay here, she says, is up to Mr. Trump. That's what she said. Wow. It's up to Mr. Trump, because her work papers may not be renewed.
Renewals are now limited to 18 months. It used to be 5 years. It's crazy, the changes, and they're daily. So we have to check what's today's challenge every day about, whether it's fees or renewal of work permits, or just trying to make certain countries illegal.
So what she told me was, she said, most of the African immigrants are highly educated, and the only reason they're not in Africa is because a lot of countries are very poor. So they're some of the most highly educated immigrants to our country, people that we want here, at least people like us. We want them here.
Yeah.
You know, and people like Mr. Trump do not want them here. Anyway, I just want to say you're a hero, Priscilla, for what you're doing, and I can't thank you enough, and thank you for speaking today. So. And I'm sure you'll have more questions back there, so, during coffee hour. Please join us in singing our hymn number 305 in your gray hymnal.
We will be singing verse 4 in Spanish. If you don't know it yet, you better learn it because you're going to lose all your neighbors if you don't. De Colores, number 305 in the gray hymnal.
All the colors, yes, the colors we see in the springtime with all of its flowers. All the colors, when the sunlight shines out through a rift in the cloud and it showers. All the colors, as a rainbow appears when a star cloud is touched by the sun. All the colors are bound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the colors of people parading on by with their banners. All the colors, yes, the colors of pennants and streamers and plumes and bandanas. All the colors, yes, the colors of people now taking their place in the sun. All the colors are bound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the black and the white and the red and the brown and the yellow. All the colors of people who smile and shake hands and say hello. All the colors, yes, the colors of peoples who know that their freedom is won. All the colors are bound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. De colores he visto en campos en la primavera. De colores son los parásitos que vienen de fuera. De colores es el arco iris que vemos decir. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me constan a mí.
So I'm going to read our closing words. And this is a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. It isn't enough to talk about peace. One must believe in it. And it isn't enough to believe in it. One must work at it. And I have to extinguish the chalice. I'm sorry, I got that out of order. I invite you to join me in extinguishing our chalice. You can find the affirmation in the order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. For these we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Postlude. Beautiful. I'd like to thank everyone who made this service possible, and please join us in the parish hall for hospitality. Thank you.